all our channels. So let's do that. Let's go to our Facebook. Be sure we are streaming. So I think we are live. We are live already. Okay, so we are live. What I will do now is I am going to copy this and share with some of the groups that we have. Let's invite people on Learn Pro. Okay, so you can join immediately from that if you are joining from Facebook. But if you are joining from YouTube, then it should be this link. Let's take it from the YouTube channel. So we are also live on YouTube at this. So let's share the YouTube link as well and share it here. Okay. So guys, you can now join the class from there. All right. This we are not going to spend much time on class. We are not going to spend much time. We are going to be building a portfolio website. So this is the first project through that we'll be using to wrap up the front end, our course on front end, on basic front end actually. So if you want to join my course on backend, this course is the prerequisite to get you qualified. So you cannot join my backend without doing this project. Okay, and let's begin. I'll be going to my Visual Studio Code. Now on the Visual Studio Code, I am going to be I need to make sure that my sound is actually showing. So that's why I have to keep this one active. All right. So as you can see here, I've created a folder called Portfolio Project. So in this folder, I am going to build my portfolio using HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. I am going to add any JavaScript that I deem fit that is going to help me to better the user's experience in this website. So the first thing is to create my index page, index.html, and I'll do this. Then I'll call it my name because this is a portfolio website, and actually a portfolio website is a place where you showcase yourself and what you are capable of doing and those projects that you have done so far. So it enables the customer or your employer to be able to find out what he or she may need or what the company may need, whether you have the capacity to deliver them to the customer or to your employer. So it's very important that you actually have a portfolio website. Okay, so I am going to make it my name. So I'll say Chinedu Nonyelo. So this is my real name. So this is the title of my website. Then the next thing I will need to do is to import the Bootstrap CDN into my work. We can do that using two methods. Either you import your Bootstrap locally on your project, or you use the CDN. So I am going to be using the CDN because I don't want to follow the long process of bringing Bootstrap to my local folder. Okay, remember you can still use npm install bootstrap 5 to do this same thing, but I don't want to follow that process. I would want to do everything with the CDN. So I'm going to go to my browser, and I'll go to the Bootstrap website. So I will go getbootstrap.com/docs. For the documentation, I'll go up to the introduction, and there I am going to copy the CSS CDN. So this is the CSS CDN, and this is the JavaScript CDN as well. So I can just copy this from here, copy this from here, or I can also do that from here. So instead of doing everything from scratch, I can just simply copy the whole code here and take it to my Visual Studio Code, remove this one and paste this one. Now uh, this is the CDN for the Bootstrap CSS, while this one is for the Bootstrap JS. So I am going to push it a little back, a little downward, and I am going to also do something here just to make everything compressed. Here I am going to change it to that my name again, Chinedu Onyelo. Okay, so let's run this server to see whether our website is up and running. Now you can see that the Bootstrap is loading perfectly. Again, I would also want to have my CSS. Now, to be able to override the Bootstrap design, always place your CSS below the Bootstrap, because you know your browser runs from top to down. So since your browser is running from top to down, after delivering the Bootstrap design, it is going to also deliver your own CSS, your predefined CSS. So it's very important to have the CSS down just below the Bootstrap. So I'm going to create a folder, and I'm going to call it CSS. Now within my CSS folder, I am going to have main.css. You can name it anything you like, but I want to name it name.css. And I am going to link that CSS here using link and css/main.css. Now, to be sure that my CSS is running, I can just set the body. I can just select the body and add, or rather I can just select the H1, because I have H1 there, and target the color to be maybe red. So let's see if that is going to be running, up and running on our website. So you can see it has taken a red color. So now my Bootstrap is running, as well as my CSS is also running. Right now, what I will do, because this is a project actually and not a full-fledged training or tutorial. If you have been missing my tutorials on HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and JavaScript, please make sure to go back to my channel or my page, my Facebook page or my YouTube channel. You can go there and see some of these videos. Take your time and go through them. They will help you in the process of learning. Now, after that, you can come back to this video and it is going to be very helpful for you. I will make sure that this video is available for the next 60 days on my Facebook page, as well as it is going to be perpetually available on my YouTube channel. So you can see them, you can go and visit it anytime you like. Okay. So let's now do some work. So we are going to first of all go to the Bootstrap and see the Bootstrap examples, because actually I want to use the Bootstrap examples to do something. So what I'm actually looking for in the Bootstrap example is this cover. So I want to use this one. And the reason why I want to use it is that we have a logo here, and then we have the menus here, the different menu here. And this is actually what I would want to do in my this thing. And but then what I would want to do for this one is that I want my image to be at the left and my write up to be at the right, instead of having just this. So let's do this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do something, and what I will do is either I copy this code by just going to the back and to copy it, or I can do something. I can just go back to the Bootstrap example and download the Bootstrap example, and immediately you download Bootstrap example, okay, so you can download Bootstrap example from the top here. You can see it here, download Bootstrap example. So I can download it there and see the code and copy them. But actually, the easiest way to do this thing is just to make a copy of this. So what I will do is, let me just right click to open it in a new tab and do a right click and go down to view page source. And under the view page source, you can see that there are so many CSS that they have at the top here, which I can simply copy and place into my own CSS, whichever one. But what I actually need to do is to copy from the SVG, because these SVG are the symbols, these symbols that they actually use here, like the light, this toggle light mode or toggle dark mode. You can see the light mode and the dark mode. So although they are not that functional, but this is just the icons that you have there. So I would want to copy from the icons down to where this thing stops. I don't need the footer something something. Okay, I don't need it for now, but what I need is from this place to the main ending tag. I'm going to copy that, and I'll go to my own website, close this one, and remove this H1. I am also going to do what? Remove this thing, because this is not actually what I want, but I just use this for illustration. So what I will do now is I am going to paste what I copied from that Bootstrap example. I'm going to paste it here. I am doing this just to be fast, okay? If you want to do these things, you can use You can use any method you like, it will work out for you. Let's see how it looks on our website. You can see that it didn't look exactly like it appeared to be on our website, but these places are functional. You can see we have the toggle light mode and toggle dark mode. So the next thing that we need to do is just to copy the CSS, because actually it is the CSS, this CSS you have at the top here, that made it possible for us to have the dark mode something. So I am going to make sure I copy this CSS as also. Copy, turn to my website and go to my CSS, paste this. And you know we have already linked this CSS as well. So we should be able to, rerun this page and have that design. But we are still not getting that design, and uh, we are still not getting that design. Okay, so there are some favicons that they also made use of. Okay, canonicals for this. Let me also copy this. Place in my page. Because it is just the CSS that is not running. So we actually need to add some of these things. See whether there will be some changes. Of course, we can do these things from scratch, right? We can do these things from scratch, which I can, in fact, let us do it from scratch, because I don't have the time, the whole time on earth to, start doing all these things, copying and pasting and all that. So let's delete everything from here. Let's delete everything and start it from scratch. So what I will do is, let's first of all have a navigation area. Let's first of all have a nav, and let's go to the documentation and all that. I wanted to use this cover, although it's possible to use it, but the hassle to copy all those things are not here. Too much. What I will do is I'll just go to the documentation and look for the navigation. Look for navigation. And the type of navigation I'll be looking for should be the nav of canvas. So let's work with that nav of canvas, or nav bar. So you can see this one, you can use it. You can also use this one. This is another one. There are plenty of them that you can use, but I think the first one, the nav bar dark, which is this, is good to me. I will copy this, take it to my page. So this place is going to contain the nav bar contents. Of course, if I go to my website now, you are just going to be seeing this black icon there, because actually I don't have the navbar content, and because of it, it's not going to show anything until I have the navbar content. Let me keep this thing like this, and also keep this one like this, so that I can move from back to front without going down here. So then, let me close this one. Then the next thing I would want to do is just to place in the navbar content. So I would need to copy the navbar contents. So these are also a responsive navbar that you can have as well. But I am not interested. So I also like this one. So this is the off canvas that I've been looking for. And I actually like it. I like this one. I think this one has solved all the problems that I've been looking for. So let me just copy this navbar. You can also take this one. This is also very good. Okay, so let's, whichever one you like. I think this one is very good to me. It may not be to you, depending on what you want to do. So let's do this. Remember to visit my tutorial on Bootstrap if you are not getting what I'm actually doing here. But this place is the brand, which is the logo. So let me say that my logo is my name, Chinedu Noyano. So this should be my logo, and it should redirect to the index page, which is the index.html. But I would want this thing to be a 1 page or 2 pages website, because I don't want to waste any time. So let me take it to the index.html, so that whenever somebody clicks on my logo, it takes them to the home page. That is actually what I am doing here. Then what else do I want to do now? Here is going to take the menu label, so I will just call it main. Let's call it main menu. And then here is going to be my home page. It's going to redirect to the index.html. Then, okay, this one is going to take to the about me, and then this one, this drop down, I actually don't need a drop down, so I am going to delete all drop down that I have there. So where is this drop down? Where does it end? Let's see how it looks on the page. So you can see what we have there. And if you click here, you see main menu, and this is home, about me, and this is the drop down that I'm talking about that we don't actually need. And if you click on the drop down, you can see all the actions that it can perform. Now, the first thing we need to know is whether this menu is a fixed menu or a sticky menu, and so on. So that is very important, because if it is a fixed menu, then it actually means that the menu cannot be scrolled up. So all the content is going to move from the back to the top. You will still get to understand what I actually mean. Then let us not waste time here. If you look at this, you can see that it is just for mobile first, because we should be able to have all the content of the menu at the top here, but we are just designing it for mobile first, and that is because we copied the mobile first toggler. We used the toggler. If you come down here, you see the toggle. So that is because we are using toggle. So that's why we are having all these things and all these things. You can see these things in the Bootstrap documentation. It doesn't take time to do that. So the next thing is we are going to be working on the main section, which is the main area, and it's going to be main dot container dash fluid. Okay, so this is going to be, if I want it to be a BG of dark, and give it a P5. Now, if you look at this, if you see that it has expanded, so there is an expansion in this. Let us bring some images. So the image I want to use here should be a transparent image, so that it doesn't come with the background of the image. Now I will show you how to remove the background, how I do it. Not actually the best way, but it works for me. So I use Canva. I also use BG Remover. So BG Remover is free, but Canva is 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 not free. So you can choose from whichever one you like. So what I will do is I am going to also create another folder here, and I'll call it images. Let's also create another folder and call it JavaScript JS. Now, the images, I am going to bring in some of my images. So I will go to canva.com. Canva.com. So I don't know if anybody has a question, but let's just continue, because I don't have much battery, and I also don't have much time. Because of that, I am going to be just focusing on the major thing. I will create a design from here. And I am going to set up the size of the design. Instagram post, that's a square. Mobile video, no. Flyer A4, no. Poster, portrait, no. I think the size. So let me just import a file, and let's copy some file. Edited images. I would want to copy somewhere where I have some of the images, one of my best images. Okay, this one I think is good. I'll copy this. Okay. Sorry, I will upload it. Yes, use the design, using a design custom size. So this is where you now set the size. and the size should be the original size. Facebook post, landscape, square. So it's going to be a square. And now, what I would want to do there is just to work on the image. You can see that this image did not cover the entire space here, but I want it to cover the entire space. So it's another issue. And this is just okay. So you can now see it is now covering the whole space. Then the next thing that I would want to do is to edit this image. Go to edit image, and I see here we can remove the background. I think the image is still uploading, that's why we cannot work. So you can see now from here with BG remover, so we can now remove the background. So the essence of doing this is not for anything but just to remove the background of this picture, so that when I bring it into the web page, it will take the original background of the website instead of coming in with its own background. That's the essence of doing this. So I would also change the name of this image. I will just call it myself. Okay, and I am going to download this as a PNG file. So click download. Make sure you mark transparent background and also set it to be PNG. If you look here, you can see there are so many image extensions, but make sure it is on the PNG. Then you can download it. Okay, I would save it on the desktop where I am working. I think where I'm working currently is found on the desktop and the portfolio project images. Okay, so let's save it myself.png. So this image has saved successfully. I can simply now I can now place it within my code. So here I would have two containers within this. I can use two methods. Either I use row and column, or I use two containers and then I can align them to be flex or in line with each other. So, but let's make use of the row method. So I can use dot row, and within the row I can have dot col for the columns. So the first column is going to take the image, and this image is going to come from images slash myself.png. Now look at what we have on the website. You can see what we have, but this image is not responsive. You can see that it is taking the entire space of this website. It is taking the entire space of this website. So we need to do something on the image. So it's either we make it from here, we do it from here by using the width attribute to control it. We can set the width to maybe around 300 pixels. And you can see now that the image appears to be at the left hand side. And this is actually what I want to do with this image. And then let's also have some write up just beside it here, and also maybe move it a little bit. And if you try to inspect this now, look, you will see that this column is going to take this whole space. It's going to take this whole space. Now the space you find here is because I have a space in the main this thing with a padding. If I remove this padding now, you will now no longer find this space. You can see. So I can also add margin and padding from this. Let's add margin. Let's say my for the my is for margin in the vertical axis, while mx should be margin in the horizontal axis. So margin in the vertical axis 3. It is not enough. Let's make it 5. Okay, I think it is enough now because we can now see all the images. Let's increase it more. I think 5 should be the maximum. Okay, so we can also add just margin top empty, margin top 3. Now you can see that it has overridden this one, the my, because margin top is only concerned about the top. Let's make it margin top as 5. Now we are sure that this is only working on the top. Let's try 6 and see if it will be much. I think 5 is okay. Let's also use padding top for PT, and let's give it 3. Okay, so I think this is good now. Now this is for the mobile. If you take it to the desktop, you can see it is on the left hand side. But if you come to the mobile, you can see that it is centered. And that is actually one of the best things that you can do for these things. And if you go to this desktop area, you can see also that you can still place some text here and it works perfectly. So let's keep it on the desktop. Now, the next thing is to have the next column that will contain our text. So let's have another column. So it's going to take text dot col, and this is going to take text. So this is just a simple text. Now if you look at this, you can see that it appears to be on the bottom of this, even though it is the desktop mode, and it doesn't seem well. So we can do something to do that, to override this. So let's work on the columns of the rows. So we can just add col dash, maybe make this one 5, because by default Bootstrap has 12 margin in each column by default. So we can do that same thing. We can then use the remaining space here -7. And I think there is an issue here. There is an issue. So let's visit the documentation of Bootstrap, because seemed not to be obeying. or rather, let me reduce it to maybe 5 again. See what will happen. It is just working on these um, areas. So I need to see what I will do to it. So let's go to grid. Grid. Okay, so we have this row and column. So this is actually what I was doing. This was actually what I was doing. So we have this. So col dash 6. So this is actually good so that you know that nobody memorizes code. You just take reference from what you already know and also look into the documentation to do all these things. So you know we are working with Bootstrap. If not, I would have using my CSS to override it. But then I can still make use of my CSS to override the whole thing here. But then let me check if I still have that CSS that I copied from the other one. So the other one. Okay, we don't have it also. So there is an issue here. Let's see what the issue is. Let me do something. Let's see first what this will look like. So let's go to the main again. Go to the main and from here to this place, I'm going to remove it just to be able to debug why I am having this issue. Okay, so don't worry yourself about that. So I am going to copy this row to this row. Okay, that. Now I am going to take it to this place, paste it, see what the result would be. Why are they not showing? Okay, they are showing. Let me change the text to light text light to be able to see the text. Okay. I will do the same thing here. This is just how I am debugging this thing to be able to see why I am not having exactly what I want. So you can see that this is giving me exactly what my what I would want to get. So this is cool and then cool 6 and then cool this one is cool. So this 2 is going to share the remaining 6, which is going to be 3 3 3 3 pigs yeah, 33 pixels. So let's what I will do is let me give this a BG light or BG danger, BG dash danger. Also give it a BG danger. Do the same thing here, BG dash danger. Now this is just okay. Let me separate the BG so that each of them, let's have this one as success. Okay. Now if you look at this, you see that these three, this one, this first one, and the last one took three pixels, but this is wider because it's taking 6 pixels. So I am going to do something now. I'm going to remove this one and then change it to 6 pixels. That's what I will do. So I am going to remove this one and change it to 6 pixels. Now let's see. You see that they are now 6 pixels. So, but I will also need to specify that this one is going to take around 7 pixels, while this one is going to take around 5 pixels. And let me also change their colors. So let's change this one to success. Let's see. So you can see that this is far bigger than this one. And if we take it to the desktop, to the mobile mode, you can see how it looks. So this is, I actually made this just to be able to get what I am looking for. So let's now place our image within that. So let's img and then images slash myself.png. So we can see what we have there, and it is still very large, so we can also reduce it to a width of 280 pixels. All right, so this is actually very neat. It's very neat as I would want it to be. Now I would bring in my text, but the space that I have here is not that good for me. So I would need to reduce the size of this column. So let's reduce the size of the column where the image is found. So let's make it 5 and make that of text 7. So okay, so you can see what we have now. So now we can bring in text into this one. So in this one, we can then bring in text. So we can see what we have there. But then I would want to use only one BG for them, for the whole thing. So I am going to remove this from then BG danger, and also remove this one BG success, so that it will override it. So you can see what we have here. You can see what we have here. Then let us bring this thing to the center, the text. Let us bring it a little bit downward. So what I am going to do now is to work on the display for this text, let's have a padding of 3 pixels, a margin in the XY direction of about 2 pixels. So let's see what we would have. Okay, so I think this is now centered a little bit. Then again is, since this my text here is not in the, is found in the center, you can see that this begins here, whereas this one begins here. So I can also decide to center this one, to center it. You know, this is just design principle, it's nothing. So let's do the same thing. So we can do that from here. We can say align dash center, or rather we can also use a block. I think let's use block. Let's use block, or rather let's do this on the CSS by targeting the button, the class btn to the center, so that all the buttons will be at the center. So let's do that on the CSS. So dot btn we would want all btn to be text align center. This is not being able to render. Let's see if our CSS is still there. So we can also make it important. Exclamation important. Period. Oh, 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 oh. I think what this thing is doing is that it is moving all the text to the center, and which is not what we want. So let me, instead of this, target the body, and every text is going to now be at the center. So we can see what we have now. Everything is centered. Now let's see if this is responsive. You can see this is not responsive because when you get to the mobile view, it is everything becomes compressed. So it is no longer, it is not responsive. So we need to make it responsive. So we are going to target the viewpoint or the viewport when this thing is going to go down. So that is, we are going to do that from here on the this thing. Where is it? On the row. Where is the row again? On the row. So we are going to set it to row LG. There is this one is good. So let's see the Bootstrap documentation on the responsive grid. Let's see if this is going to give us a responsive grid. So it's not giving us a responsive grid. So this is where we have a responsive grid. And call MD, okay, justify content center, call, okay, call MD auto, then call LG, okay, LG large, okay, okay, okay. So let's see what this actually entails. LG large, okay. So this is just the responsive classes. So this is the responsive class. While this one is the stack horizontal. So when you want to stack it in a horizontal manner. But what I actually want here is on the SM. So let's set it SM 12 pixels or call SM 12 pixels. So in that case, when everything, okay, so let's just do that. Let's just do that on this. So on the call, we will have the first one, call dash SM 12, and again call dash SM. This is not working perfectly. Call dash SM, or rather, let's make it call MD. So what I'm actually looking for here is the breakpoint at which I am going to move this thing, the text, a little downward, and then the image will cover this area, so that the only time you are going to see the image and the text is at the breakpoint of a tablet like this, or the breakpoint of a desktop like this. So because if you look at this, you see that the breakpoint for the mobile, this the toggler is actually working perfectly. But the problem there is that everything is stacked together and it doesn't give a good user experience. So that's why we also need to make sure that this text is found below. So there is another way I can do that. I can use my CSS to target the text and make a breakpoint directly on that. Set the maximum width to um, the breakpoint that I would want. So that is also another way I can do this same thing. So, but because of time, you can see that my battery is already running low. So I think I am going to just proceed downward. Then later on, we work on the responsive nature of this. So let's just create cards here and add some images to the card about our services. So let's have services area just down here. So dot services. So this is going to contain my services, and let's use this. And what I will do is I will get some images. Where will I get these images now? Okay, let's copy. Let's get some images from my screenshots. Screenshots. So mm, I think this one is okay. Okay, okay, okay. Copy these three images. Also this one. Copy them. Go to the desktop. Look for portfolio project. Click it into the images. Paste them. Now let's bring those images here. So the first image is going to be something like this: images slash first screenshot. Okay, then the second image is going to be like this: images slash this one. Now you can see these are some of my websites, and I will also need to let them know that this is some of my websites. So I would need to um, you can see this card and this card are not equal, so I will need to make them to be equal. So what I will do is, again, let's increase the text here, just like make this text to be same as this text. So that they will have equal size. I think the image is not equal. So because the image is not equal, they are not going to give you exact sizes. So you can just inspect and see the size of this image so that you can set the images to be equal in sizes. Another thing that I would like to do here is to have a button, or at the top here, let's add a display dot display dash 2. I want to use display 2 for this. So here, okay, I have, let me see if I can set this. I'm not seeing this thing. So what I will do is, let's add something to it. Let's add a class of my-5 and P-3 to set it downward, and we are still not seeing it. So I think I will end the class here. In my next tutorial, I would finish up this thing. We will finish up this thing because my battery is already very down. So I cannot be able to do anything else before it completely shut us down. So, but at this place, if you have any question, you can ask the question and be sure that you will get a response. I'll see you in our next um, class. So the next class may be this evening, this night, maybe around 9 o'clock. We would convert back again to finish up this portfolio project, because this is a prerequisite for our backend. Before you join our backend development course, you must have finished your portfolio project. You must do your portfolio project and make sure that it is up and running. And I must see it before I will add you to our backend project. So I'll see you in our next class. For now, take care.